You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the podcast, or welcome to the podcast if this is your first time. Thank you very much for tuning in. I know there is a lot you could be listening to right now, and it means the world that you chose this show. I don't have too much for you at the top of this episode, but I will remind you that if you would like to support the show and you're planning on buying some gear, if you could go to tonemob.com/sweetwater for any of your sweetwater.com needs, or tonemob.com/reverb. If you're going to be buying gear from either of those places, it really helps a lot. The Sweetwater one is especially helpful. They are very generous. They've been extremely supportive of this podcast. So if you are planning any Sweetwater purchases in the near future, please use the link tonemob.com/sweetwater, and that will help out the show quite a bit. Thank you to everyone that has done that. It's been a really big help to keep the lights on around here, quite literally. So thank you very much. All right. I think that's enough plugging for this episode. Sometimes these intros get long and rambly. I will just go ahead and say, let's start the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have August Axcelson from Kaonashi. What's going on, dude?
Hello, my friend. Not much, man. Just been sitting here and riffing, drinking my coffee. Yeah. Basically what I do every morning.
Yeah, I dig it, man.
Yeah.
No, this is cool. This is exciting because as I was telling you off on email, I think, or text, whatever way, it was like when you reached out, I was like, hey, I just found this band like a few months ago when I was in town doing some stuff with JHS in Kansas City. And for some reason, that's when I found your band. I don't remember even how it happened. It's one of those weird things. It's like, did it just pop up in the algorithm? Did I see somebody share something? I'm like, I don't know. I just know I found the band and started like scrolling through and I was like, this is tight. I like these guys. And fast forward a few months later and there was an email.
Thanks, man. No. I mean, it's fun. Yeah. It's funny how, how that works out. Cause, JHS, our guitarist, Alex, is like a super big pedal nerd. That's like his thing. So he watches all of like the YouTube series, like those live streams. And our friend Juan actually worked there prior or as of like a few months ago. But I thought that he told you, about us because like it just like it's weird and ironic that like you just so happen to be there and then you find us like. Right. But that's awesome, dude. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a small world.
It is. That is something I didn't really realize like prior to. I forgot I got to turn my AC off. Everyone's gonna hear a beep. There you go. Professionalism is what I'm all about, as you can tell,
man.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just one of those weird things where my listeners know this, but I was a mechanic before this and like worked in the oil industry.
Sure.
And so I never really thought like doing anything in the music industry was going to be possible.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense. Like I'm not going to be doing any of that. But once I did get in, I realized like it seems a lot bigger from the outside. As a fan, it seems like it's like this massive thing. And it's just, in some ways it is, but most ways it's not. Everything's much more connected than it seems.
No, yeah, it's definitely true. And like, there's definitely like a level where like, I don't know, like, I mean, like, obviously we're not at a large size yet, but like we've been around long enough where like we know a lot of like, like larger bands and just like, I don't know, everyone talks, everyone is well connected. Like the circle always connects somewhere. Like
Yep.
you just need that one end or that one friend to like, like take you as a merch guy or give you like an opportunity to work for their company or like, you know what I mean? Like you just need like that one in, and then like you basically are in the circle, like
Yeah. And you just have to be a part of it. I mean, it can be as simple as like just being involved in a particular community. I know that like in the weirdest way, like my old boss's son now works for us at Stringjoy just because like I just happened to be catching up with him like in the middle of the pandemic. He's like, my son just moved to Nashville. Do you know anybody that is hiring? I'm like,
Oh, wow.
actually, yeah, I do. We're looking for somebody right now. And he just so happened to be a really good fit. So
it's incredible. Hell yeah.
he's been down there for a year now. And
Wow.
yeah, it's just like, you never know where that opportunity is going to come. And then like, even further, like where it's going to lead after that.
Oh yeah, dude.
That's really what it is.
For sure. There's so many like tours or shows or like general random opportunities that we got just by connecting with somebody, just by like having a conversation, and then like a year down the line, that person like DMs us being like, hey, like you remember that time we talked? Do you guys want to do this? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's all about like those random little connections that you make, and like eventually something's gonna pop up from those. Like
Exactly. Yeah. And you never know what that might be. And you just kind of have to be open to whatever comes your way and say yes to things. And because you can always say no later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If
it doesn't work out, it's like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce.
Yeah. That's one thing with KO though, is like, we're the type of band where like we rarely say no. I mean, like we're kind of at the point now where like, like certain shows like we'll say no, but like we're kind of crazy and like we don't even like off days like on our tours, so like we try to book out every single day. We don't say no to like shows while we're like out on the road. So it gets a little crazy for us because we're always like yes, and then we get absolutely wiped. But
yeah, you're like, what's up, Denny's?
Like you need to know when to say no to things.
Yeah,
but we've definitely got accustomed to just being road dogs right now.
I think that's good though in the early stages of a career, of any career, really, like music or anything else. It's like you got to take those opportunities and see, because otherwise you just don't really know.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just heard about a band that got, not a huge payday, but like a decent chunk of cash to go play like at a Harley Davidson, like dealership.
Fire.
And it was like, wow, I wouldn't have really thought about that, but they were like, yeah, we made, okay money. It was a good day's work.
And it sounds like a fun show. Like that's not something that you can say every day. You know what I mean? Like I played to a whole bunch of bikers and like a Harley Davidson shop. That's
right.
tight. That's badass.
Yeah, it's weird. It's unconventional, but it's like, hey, these things are out there.
Honestly, man, like I'm all about like the unconventional shows. Like I'm much more of like I'm the type of person where like I would rather play like like an old basement as opposed to like a larger kind of venue. And the same thing kind of applies to like conventional and unconventional shows. Like we did this parking lot show with that band Fever 333 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And it was like in the parking lot of the Chance in Poughkeepsie, I believe. And it was like, I don't know, it was like this very mini festival, and it was like such a weird show. We played on asphalt, and like it was just a sick time. And like while it wasn't the most packed out, like I vividly know every detail from that day because of how special it was. You know what I mean? And I would much rather take those moments over like a packed out show or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Packed out shows are nice too, though.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that. Yes.
So let's rewind a little bit for the listeners who may not be familiar with you or your band and what you do, but like let's go with the whole backstory. So like, when did you start playing, and how did it lead to where you are now? And actually, you were talking about some really interesting stuff before we hit record that I want to get into. So
of course,
I think that'll be a nice way to get to that.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll do a quick little from the top. I mean, I started playing guitar freshman year. My friend Roger at the time, he was one of like the first kids that I met in my high school. And the high school that I went to, so I grew up in Princeton, which is Central Jersey. It's the town of like the university. So definitely on like the richy kind of preppy kind of side. So I was like that one kid in my high school to be coming in with like, like the tight gray skinny jeans and the bright blue, like drop dead cat shirt. If like, what I'm talking about.
100%.
And like I would come in with that. I had the blonde streak in my hair. Like my hair was like basically cemented shut with like hairspray. And like that's just how I looked for like my first half of high school. And I remember when I went there, Roger was the only other kid that I saw with like with like the swoop hair and like the skinny jeans. He was wearing an Avenged Sevenfold shirt and a purple bandana, and like I was just like, you're gonna be my friend. And then we started a band. We played a battle of the bands. And then maybe like a year later, I went to my.
I'm wearing my high school battle of the bands t-shirt right now.
Yes, dude. Honestly, I miss those. They were fun. I never want to see those videos ever because I'm sure they're just bad. But
right, dude, but it was fun.
I can barely watch like our set videos now, bro. Like I'm like way too hard on ourselves. But so met him. Started a band. Went to our first show at this venue called the Court Tavern in New Brunswick. Very very tiny bar. And it's funny because at that show is where I met a lot of the kids that I still talk to and play with today. And that was back in like 2011. So after that show was kind of just like a snowball effect. Like I started another band with him. I left that band for this other band. And like, basically my music career has been like starting a band, being with that band for a long time. The rest of the guys in that band would start to get tired out of music or not want to do it. Then I'd move on to the next band, and like that would keep happening until I landed in KO. And once I got into KO back in like 2015 or so, they're the first band that like, we're all like gung ho about this. We're all like, this is what we want to do. We'll spend any amount of money. Like we'll sleep in a van. Like it's completely fine. We just want to do this. And like it was the first time I finally had a group like that. And I think once I found that, that really ignited the spark. Because like I grew up going to Warped Tours. I grew up like watching like live set videos and interviews and like rig rundowns and everything. And like I always wanted to be that band on the Warped Tour stage with like the giant rack with like the rack gear and the two 412s and the 810s and like have like that look. You know what I mean?
Totally. Same.
And then like, once I got into KO, man, it was just like, we all just clicked really well with each other. We're all on the same page and the rest is history, man. And that whole entire time I was just playing guitar and playing bass and here I am now.
It's so tight. It's so cool to see somebody like we have a kind of a similar story, not exactly the same. Obviously I took a different path. I was one of those friends that was like, I'm not going to do this. I have to go to work. Pay bills and stuff, and like I just knew, and I still know that like I'm not tough enough to be on the road. I'm such a baby. Like I'm like I need my bed. I can't do it. I need a shower. But I always did want to be that guy on stage like you're talking about. You can't have it both. You have to do all of the things in order to get there. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, I feel like I've sort of found a way to do that, but not exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, like now that you bring that up, that's a really solid point. Cause like, honestly, growing up, I always thought like, oh, like if you quit music or like whatever, like you just weren't like that in it. You weren't passionate enough. And I was kind of a dickhead. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Right. With
age, I've kind of realized that like, I definitely battle anxiety and depression like the same as like 95% of other dudes who play music do.
Yes.
And a large part of that is from playing in bands and just like the amount of stress. Like, dude, like there's been so many times and situations where like I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. Like I'm broke. This is terrifying. Like so many different things and emotions. And it gets to be a lot, And I think there's something really admirable when somebody is like, okay, I still love music, but I like my sense of security. I want to raise a family. I want to bring money home to my family. I don't want to, not see my family for 6 to 8 months. You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
completely all right. And I think it's totally cool when somebody wants to go do their own thing, as long as like, you know, like they don't let their love for music die, and like they still keep their passion up in some way, shape, or form, which, you know, like you have like the perfect spot now. Like, you know what I mean? You're still like well involved in the music industry, but you can sleep in your bed every night, which is tight.
For me, it is, I've ended up in this like sort of weird ideal situation, which I didn't know existed. Well, I guess back in the day, it didn't exist. This wasn't an option. You know, I couldn't do these things. You couldn't even like record from home as easily as you can now with the podcast or with music. And now the things are just so much easier to create things. I guess it's easier to create things than it was 10 years ago. Yeah. Whatever that thing is, it doesn't matter what it is.
That is for sure, man. It's crazy. I mean, like, yeah, like what you're bringing up now is such a rabbit hole. Like, there's like,
yes,
like the past like 2 or 3 years, actually no, like the past like 4 to 5 years, like the amount that you can do at home has dramatically increased. Like, there's like, I don't know, like you can make a record in your bedroom now that sounded as good as like a full like expensive studio album from like 6 years ago. You know what I mean? Like it's insane what you can do like by yourselves. And that's also something that I feel like a lot of bands don't really realize. And they think that like, you know, recording your own music or like doing your own artwork is like this super ominous, time consuming, I can't do this thing, I need to go hire somebody. But in reality, you know what I mean? Like, you can really do everything yourself nowadays, man. It's crazy. Like, the amount of tools and information you have at your disposal with like the internet and online classes and master classes and all that stuff. Like, there's a lot there's a lot you can do. It's crazy.
Totally. Are you familiar with the band If I Die First? Yeah. So I was talking to Braden, well, Nedarb. I don't know which way. Yeah. I don't know what to call him because I call him both things. But on this podcast, and I was like, dude, you guys' guitar sounds and everything sounds so heavy and so sick. Like, what did you use? And he's like, not gonna like this, but
the red bean pod.
No. It's all kidney bean. No, but he's like, it's all plugins. It's all in the box. Everything was done in the box on that record. I'm like, I'm sitting here like I'm Mr. 2-Bamp man, you know, like 2-Bamp pedal man over here, and I'm just like, man, there's no denying that record sounds huge. You know, it just does. I mean, and it's all laptop.
Dude, it's wild. I mean, like, I don't know exactly how true this is, but so I work at this studio in Bayonne called Timber Studios, and I was talking to the guy that I work with, Adam, and he was talking about how I'm pretty sure that newest structures EP songs that just came out, I think Zach Cervini did them. And apparently he did them all in the box. He did all the mixing in the box in his laptop or in his computer. And if you listen to that, to like those like five or six songs, they sound huge. They sound like they were mixed in like a nice studio with nice gear. But no, it's just all done with in the box plugins, man. Like, and again, that kind of goes back to what I was saying of like, people think you need all this crazy gear and all this money and all this stuff to make like high quality art. It's like, no, you really just need to sit down and practice and perfect your craft.
Yeah, I mean, it's astounding. I'm working on a music video for something I did off of a record I made this year, and I don't really know that much about video editing, but I have friends that do, and my friend Devon, who's been on this podcast a lot, is helping me out, and I'm kind of not like trying to pat myself on the back. I'm more like, wow, what if you just can use some of this technology and like just play around with it? You know, just, you don't really even have to know what you're doing. I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. I just sit back and watch it, and I'm like, not even really sure how I did that, but
yeah, but like it's such a good feeling doing it yourself too. You know what I mean? Like, no, I totally feel it. And like, but like the big thing is, and this is something that I've started to realize, and maybe this is just me with the personality type that I am. But when you get into that field of like doing everything yourself and creating your own art, I mean, just with art and being a musician in general, you know, like you have to get over the fact that like you're gonna hate your work like 95% of the time.
Oh yeah.
And you have to kind of work over that feeling and get over that feeling and just know, I'm putting in all the effort and time that I can. I'm doing the best that I can, and whatever I make is cool with me. And it's just about progress, man. You know what I mean? Like, but that's a big lesson that I had to learn when it comes to like all this DIY stuff is like, it's got to be a little kind with yourself and realize you're gonna not like a lot of the stuff that you do, but you'll look back at it in like a year or two from now and be stoked on your progress and be stoked on where you came from. And I think that's what really matters about it,
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I really had to learn, it was really hard for me, and I've told this story 400 times on this show, but it bears
again,
repeating.
Bro.
I think.
Tell it again.
So like I got really tired of myself. I have all this gear. I'm really in just the most spoiled situation that any guitar player could find themselves in, right? Like I've got a space that I can blast tube amps at 11 p.m. at night and nobody says anything because it's pretty isolated, It's just I'm in a super fortunate circumstance, and I kept thinking like, man, my teenage self would be so mad at me because I'm just doing that and I'm just like noodling around by myself at night and not actually like making anything, which is all I wanted to do as a teenager. And I didn't have the gear or the knowledge to be able to do it. And now I do, and I'm not doing anything with it. And so I have a text chat that goes along with this podcast, and I just kind of publicly stated to everybody, I think there was like 80 people or something on it at the time. I was just like, I'm making a record this year, and it was like, then I was like, oh, the pressure's on. I have to make a record this year because I said I was going to.
You already said it. It's out there.
That's how I have to do it. And so I started recording, and I got it done in like 2.5 months or something, and put it out there. And the big thing that really pushed me over the edge, after I made that statement, I was kind of stressing about it. And I was making stuff that I don't really know where it comes from. It doesn't sound like what I listen to. And I was showing my wife, and she was just like, don't worry about that. Maybe that's just what you do. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter that it doesn't sound like your favorite band. Yeah. It's just your thing. And that was like a light bulb moment for me. I was like, it's so simple. I don't have to sound like them. I can do whatever I want. There's no rules saying I have to sound like my favorite artist.
Yeah, man.
Like, and my favorite artists don't sound like the people that they say inspire them half the time. So why do we put that pressure on ourselves? I don't know why. It doesn't really make any sense, but we all do it.
Honestly, man, I really just think it's because of social media. It's just like I talk about this a lot, and like I'm the type of person where like I am absorbed into my phone. I'm not gonna lie. I use that as like a social crutch. I use that as like, just a way to calm my nerves and anxiety when I'm in social situations. And not only that, like obviously when I'm at home, like I'm on Instagram, I'm like watching like your videos and people posting their polished riffs on Instagram. And it's so hard to not compare yourself. No matter how hard you try, if you have an Instagram account or a Facebook or a Twitter, dude, like, and you see all these dudes who can like shred, or like a 15-year-old who's like a way better player than you are. And that shit just absolutely crushes you if you let it. You know what I mean? And that's also like another thing I'm really trying to work on is like, trying not to compare my own art and just really taking whatever comes out of me and being like, okay, I made this. I'm happy with it because I made it. But it's 100% in the age that we live in now. That's a very hard thing to come to terms with. And I still have not come to terms with that yet, but it's getting easier,
It could be social media. It definitely doesn't help, but I feel like for me, I didn't actually get on. I'm kind of weird. I didn't even get on social media until 2015 when I started doing this stuff.
Cool. No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
And so, yeah. But then in a weird way, that became like part of how I make my living is by helping companies with their social media, which is so strange. But I had those feelings before social media.
Oh yeah. Same.
I was definitely without it for long enough that I was like, I was an adult without social media, and I still would listen to records and be like, I can't do these things. I can't do these things. Yeah. And
I've been there before, man.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. That's been really freeing to me. Like now that I like have fully accepted that, I'm like, it's fine. it's fine to not sound like that
Yeah,
person.
100%, man.
In fact, it's a good thing, because now you sound like you. And that's what makes it special. That's what makes music cool. We're all dealing with the same 12 notes.
Exactly, man. Yeah, I would much rather listen to a band that's very strange and out there than, a band that follows the standard verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus kind of
right.
whatever structure that people use nowadays. I would much rather listen to something out there and weird and experimental because, I don't know, and again, this kind of goes back to social media and the saturation of everything. There's just so many people making bands and music and art and everything. It's so hard to find anything original, actually truly original that, yeah, I would just always much rather listen to something that even if it sounds weird or off or not conventional, at least they're doing something, you know what I mean? They're doing whatever they like to do. And it's so important to just write music that you would listen to, you know what I mean? If somebody else isn't going to listen to it, then, but as long as you like it, as long as you are happy with it, and it's something that you would wake up and put on your iPad or your iPod at you know what I mean? That's all that matters, man. Just whatever you want to listen to,
That's true. That's true. But I mean, even then, I don't know that the music that I make, I listen to stuff like that now because I started making things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But before, it wasn't something that I was necessarily drawn to.
Interesting.
I had heard, and that's why I'm I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know what this is. So people were saying, and after I got into it, we were oh, this reminds me of Godspeed You Black Emperor. I'm what? I've only listened to that band once.
Yeah.
And then I dove into it once people started saying that. And honestly, I'm if that's what this sounds like to you, then I'm honored because that group's amazing. And I can hear the vibe, but I wouldn't put it on that level myself.
It's just weird how you ended up there without even really listening to that band. I mean, we have a similar thing. When we dropped Why'd You Do It and subsequently basically everything after, people keep saying that we sound like that band Sicketh or Sixth. I'm not sure how to say their name.
I'm not either, but I know what you're talking about.
But Peter listens to my vocalist, but me and Alex are large songwriters for for the band. We'd never listen to that band. I don't think I've ever listened to a full song by them. And once I went to go actually check out Sicketh, I really have to go and look up how to say their name because it's gonna bother me now.
Yes.
I was okay, this makes sense. I get this. I have no idea how we landed here, but that's cool.
Mm-hmm. It makes you wonder how many times that's happened. The answer is a lot, but where it's you go and you hear that, oh, this group is suing this group because they used, it sounds like they ripped off this part of their song. And maybe they did, in whatever instance that happens to be. But it's what are the odds that they just got there by accident? I think pretty good.
Probably pretty good. Yeah. I mean, that, or they subconsciously, you know what I mean? We're listening to that song a few weeks ago, and then it, they don't realize it, which I'm sure also happens. You know what I mean?
It's happened to me so many times.
I mean, dude, have you ever seen? I forget exactly what it's called, but there's this thing amongst a lot of jazz music, a lot of it called the lick or something, or the riff, and it's just one little 4 or 5 note melody. Where and it's a 20-minute long YouTube video, and they play all these jazz songs that have the exact same melody and exact same rhythm, and somehow just all these dudes have just been playing the same thing for years and years and years, and you can find this one little lick across all of this music, and it's so crazy. It's so crazy to listen to because it's very apparent too, and I'm sure that that's very prominent within metal and hardcore too. Just with so much of it out there, it's hard to pinpoint exactly who is copying who, or if anybody's copying anybody. You know what I mean?
Right. It's who did the first breakdown? Mm-hmm. Who did that? Somebody did that.
I want to say Pantera. I think that would be a solid option. Like an actual first breakdown. I feel would be old school Pantera.
Probably. That seems accurate. I can't think of anybody. I'm sure somebody would be my dad's band from 1986 did it, and Pantera ripped them off. Like, I'm sure there's some obscure examples, you know, but as far as bringing it to the collective consciousness, it's probably Pantera.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody's going to send me an angry email.
It is not Pantera. It was this band. Here is a live video.
It's shot on a VHS camcorder. Yes. Good stuff, man. Yeah, when I was listening to your guys' band, what struck me is like, I got some vibe. Now, this will be fun to see, like, because this will lead to another question, but I got some vibes that, like, you have this controlled chaos thing going on.
We get
in
that.
A lot of different, you know?
Yeah, we get those two words a lot. Controlled chaos. We get that a lot. Yeah. Sorry.
Because it's not out of control. Some bands are out of control. Some of it reminds me of like Dillinger Escape Plan, you know, in certain moments. They have that as well, I think. And that's something you guys are more frantic in like urgency to me.
Okay.
Like, it seems like if I'm listening to your guys' music, like Dillinger sounds angry and you guys sound like urgent. Like there's something going on and you need to know about it.
I like that though. Yeah. Because like, I mean, when it comes to like the Dillinger side, honestly, like, so all of KO's music is all of us have very different tastes, very different bands that we love and grew up on. The Dillinger side of us is definitely our drummer Peo. He grew up listening to like Calculating Infinity, I think is that album. And like, yeah, like we get a lot of like the chaotic side from him. But it's interesting. Both me and Alex are not big fans of Dillinger though. So
interesting.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like they're cool. Just like I never got into them, nor am I super into the extreme side of chaotic music, I would say.
Right.
You know, there's a fine line. I mean, like certain chaotic music, like I don't know if you ever heard of a band called Omerta. So they're this band from Texas, and they're like a relatively new band, but they have an extremely chaotic sound. Like it's hard to follow half the time almost, but I love it, and it's raw, it's chaotic. But with Dillinger stuff, for me personally, it's just like it's a little too much, you know.
Right.
But like
it does get out there.
But it's interesting how Peo's love for that band bleeds into the music too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that you say that, the drumming is probably the part that I'm thinking of when I'm referring to that.
For
Makes
sure.
sense. The patterns that are chosen,
exactly,
more so than the riffs that you guys are playing. So who are you inspired by? Like, what would you say you draw from?
So for me, you know, it's changed a lot over the years. You know, growing up, I was very much like a We Came as Romans, Icy Stars, Asking Alexandria, like scene kid.
Totally.
As I grew up, it kind of shifted more into like the melodic hardcore route. And as of like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I've gotten very into softer stuff and like alt rock, indie, well, like a little bit of synthwave stuff. But as of right now, and for Why'd You Do It and on, I've been very inspired by bands like Tesseract. Polienzo is a really big band. Band for me. Silver Sun Pickups, Linkin Park. Trying to think what else. This band called Kitsune, who only has a 4-song EP, but that 4-song EP is probably one of my favorite like alt rock releases that I've ever heard.
Okay.
And they haven't released any music since like 2018, but like I draw a lot of influence just from those 4 songs. But yeah, man, I'm definitely, when it comes to like KO stuff, I do, you know, I love riffs. I love writing riffs, but I'm definitely a lot on like the melodic, softer side of our sound. And then that also bleeds into what I was saying earlier, how like all of us have such different bands and inspirations that we draw from. So like, you know, like I'm like the softer, more like melodic side. Alex is like our techie, like riff machine, and like he loves bands like, you know, like, yeah, like Tesseract and Sleep Token. He loves Coheed, so he's like our riff guy. Peo's like our chaotic rhythm fast guy. And then Peter, obviously, he has his own thing with his vocals and his lyrical style. And like he has the most out there diverse music taste out of anybody that I know. He listens to everything from like extremely obscure SoundCloud rap to like early 2000s Risecore. You know what I mean? Like it's like all over the place. And like I just feel like with all that in mind, knowing that, you can really hear that within our sound and how all of those make up who we are as a band.
Yeah, I've been very curious about Peter's vocal style because I was like, where is he getting this? Because some moments are like, wow, he's gonna lose his mind, and then some moments it's like more pulled back, but not in a way that I've heard anybody else do. Lots of people have done the scream sing thing, but his delivery, that's where the urgency comes through for me. That's where that part of the sound is. It feels like he really needs to tell you whatever he's telling you at that moment.
Exactly. Yeah. And like it works well because like that's such a big part of us as a band is like our whole thing is like just listen. Like if your friend needs help, then listen to them. If you're listening to our music, just listen to it. You know what I mean? It's such like a big thing for us. And with Peter's sense of urgency and just like his general vocal delivery, like I think that plays into it too, where like you really just need to listen to what he's saying and listen to the lyrics, and it has like it brings like this whole other side to our music, and like it's like a whole other different element. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, that's like such a big thing for us. Like we really just want people to pay attention and listen, even though it's fast and chaotic. Like there's a lot that goes on there. Yeah, man.
It's one of the first records in a long time that I've wanted to do the thing that I used to do when I was a kid, which is like, or not records, but bands in general, where I've wanted to like lay on the bed and unfold the lyric sheet. Even, like with heavy music, I usually want to move. I usually want to move around. It's just my thing.
Of course.
While I'm working out or whatever. But like with your band, I want to like I want to do that as well. But it's one of the first bands in a while that I'm like, I want to hear what Peter's talking about.
Yeah, of course.
And actually like to take the time to digest the lyrics more. I haven't quite done that yet, but I definitely plan on it here.
Yeah, man.
Soon,
yeah,
so.
No, it's definitely a super, super, super important part of us, especially because like I don't know how deep you've really dived into the lyrics, but our whole band is kind of a concept right now. Dear Lemon House is about a kid named Jamie going through high school, and like the album is like basically the events that unfold throughout his and her life in high school. And like I won't like say too much more besides that, so I don't like give anything away. But it makes Peter's lyrics that much more important because like while I'm not super on the story side of things, that's very much more so Peo and Peter. There's like a whole entire like universe and world and characters that we talk about throughout like that album, and like certain things and events that happen that when you listen to the lyrics, you can start to connect like all the dots and like see like a bigger story that we're trying to tell. Dude,
That's so sick.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I had not realized that. Oh, that's exciting for me. That's gonna be really fun to take a harder look at. And it's especially because right now the next thing I'm working on is like a album spoken word story thing.
Awesome.
It's hard to explain. But
That's
it's like
sick.
it's gonna be 4 different pieces where it's like there'll be the music, with the spoken word on top. But I also am trying to design it to where you can have them both isolated, so you could just listen to it as an audiobook or listen to the music without the lyrics.
Dude, I really like that, man. That's a really
what I'm
cool
trying
idea.
to do right now. It's some of it's coming really, really easy, and some of it's like, because some of the music, if you try to fill it out too much, then the story gets it takes the pacing and messes it up.
Yeah, sure.
But then but I'm really trying to make them both work independently.
Yeah.
And the spoken word part's pretty easy. It's just, you read at a decent pace, and you make it flow how you wrote it,
Yeah.
But trying to fit it in with the music and have the music work without the lyrics is hard. because I'm used to filling out the space
Sure.
in every single way. But I have to like leave room for that. It's a weird process. I don't know what I'm doing.
I really
I've
like that
based it-
idea though, man. I mean, not from anything that I know, but like I've never heard of anything like that. But I really like the concept of that, man. That's very creative.
Yeah, I'll have to send you some clips.
Please, man.
I mean, it basically what happened. I started listening to too much Tom Waits. Got inspired by some of the things he was doing, and I was like, I wonder if I can do a long version of what is he building in there.
Of course. No,
I don't know
yeah,
if you've heard that song.
both of my parents are like huge Tom Waits fans. They have like this little plaque like right outside their door that says, if there's love in the house, then it's a palace for sure, which I'm pretty sure is a Tom Waits line. But yeah, man, they like I grew up around like all that kind of stuff.
That's super sick. That had to have been a really cool environment to grow up in. I grew up with a lot of music too, but it was nothing quite into that weird territory the way Tom is.
Gotcha.
Is more like old school country and things like that, which I still love. But it's hard for me to even imagine like growing up with a Tom Waits fan as a parent. That's going to be kind of an interesting experience, right?
It was. I mean, like, I'm very, very, very lucky to grow up with the parents that I did. Both of them. So my dad, he plays like 15 million instruments. He plays the banjo, accordion, guitar, bass. He sings, all that stuff. My mom's a singer. My sister sings and plays guitar as of like a year ago. So I grew up around that. Both of my parents playing like a bluegrass band.
Oh wow.
So I grew up around like guitars and gear and like and like when I was in middle school, like I remember like changing my like dad's strings for like for like $5, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really grew up around that stuff, and like my dad and mom were much more into country and like I was saying, like Tom Waits, Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson, Lucinda Williams, like all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the very first concert I ever went to was Bruce Springsteen, but I'm not going to count that one because I was very little. But
right.
The very first concert that I went to that I actually like remember going to, I saw Radiohead when I was like 8 or 9.
Wow.
And my parents took me to that, and the flash forward to today, and like Radiohead is one of my like all-time favorite bands. Like I love Radiohead. Very, very big fan of that band. I love Tom York's side solo project. But yeah, like I don't think I would have gotten into like music nearly as hard as I did if not for my parents. Like 100%, like they made me develop that love for it, which I'm very thankful for.
Definitely. Yeah. I have my parents to thank for a lot of things, even though they may not fully understand like all the weird stuff I like, but like they always let me, Yeah. They always just let me do it. My parents weren't really, I mean, there was some questions, of course, and the first time I brought home like an Unearth record and was playing it in my room, they were like, what's that? Like everything okay? I'm like, actually, yeah, everything's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Listen to this guy.
Listen to this riff.
But like from their perspective, I totally understand. Like, okay, he was listening to Blink 182, and that was a little bit, that was rock, but we get it. And all of a sudden, System of a Down, okay, that's a little bit more, and then Unearth, it's like, whoa, okay, let's just check on this kid, make sure he's doing okay, because this doesn't sound anything like Willie Nelson.
I think my parents' moment of let's check on this kid was man, I got to really think about this, because like there was definitely a few a few moments, but I think around the time that I started to wear skinny jeans and started to like adapt to that style, they're like, why are you putting all this hairspray in your hair? Why, like what's going on? Like what are they saying in your music? Like they didn't really fully get it, but my parents were always like, do whatever you want to do. Like when I started to wear skinny jeans, like my mom would go out and get me skinny jeans. So like while they didn't understand it, they were supportive of it. And I'm sure like your parents were like around the same kind of way, where like they might not get it, but they let you kind of explore it and like, like figure out who you are. And And again, I'm just very thankful for that.
Yeah, they gave me enough rope to hang myself, and fortunately, I only choked a couple times.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, same.
Like, yeah. So it was like, yeah, they didn't get it at all, and but they always just let me do my thing. But yeah, I was such a weird kid because like I listened to all the Warped Tour stuff and the Skinny Jeans stuff, but like I wore a cowboy hat most of the time.
Respect.
Which
Sick.
Which was kind
That's
of like
sick.
a weird like I was like this weird hybrid of like redneck and scene kid. Like it didn't really make any sense. But
Better that than a fedora, bro. So
yeah, I can agree with that, milady.
Milady.
But because this is supposedly a guitar podcast and we're supposed to talk about guitars and basses and whatnot,
I love guitars and basses.
Let's talk about your rig a little bit.
Yeah, man.
What are we rocking these days?
Let's see. So for KO stuff, I'm very much subscribed right now to the Dingwall / Darkglass combination, which has appeared to become quite a popular thing nowadays.
Yes.
And not to be like that guy, but like I've been using Darkglass for years, bro. Like a very long time. No.
I was using Darkglass before it was cool.
No, yeah, I fully believe that like that a combination, if played right, is like how you get some of like the best tones you can possibly get within metal right now. So I have a Dingwall Combustion 4-string. I use a Darkglass M900 V2 head. I just started to build a new bass pedal board actually because we're leaving for this tour with Hail the Sun. First date is September 14th at a Chain Reaction in Anaheim. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of just like having one tone live. So I want to do something cool and fun. So I went out, I got myself a Disaster Artist MIDI switcher. I got myself a Game Changer audio plasma pedal. I got myself a Keeley reverb. I think the Caverns. And like, I'm trying for this tour to really have like a wider range of tones. Just to like kind of like change up the dynamics of our live set a little bit, because I'm just trying to think of ways to make our set move a little more, have a little bit more like peaks and valleys. So that's my newest venture. I only play that one bass for now. I'm really thinking, so I've been really into the basses of Mudvayne recently. I don't know why I'm so late to this train, but I love Mudvayne. Like for the past like year, I've been very obsessed with their bass player. And he plays this awesome 5-string Warwick, and it made me really want to get a Warwick. So I think that's going to be like my next move, is to move away from Dingwall. Not like move away, but I want to really branch out and see what else is out there. But yeah, that's definitely going to be like my next move. And then like from there on, like me and Alex are very much into trying to get our set MIDI programmed and everything. So in terms of like all around band, like band gear or like overall stuff, that's probably our next move and next purchase, is trying to get everything to like, like a MIDI automated click and get our patches to change automatically, start to get like MIDI lights going. But obviously, that costs a lot of money and time. So we're still trying to build. But for this tour, we finally have our own in-ear rig, so we can hear ourselves live, which has been a massive game changer.
It's so huge.
It's insane, man. We only played one show with it so far, and there's actually a funny story about that I'll get to. But even at practices, man, just being able to hear ourselves is insane. Like, it's just like, you really don't realize how much you miss when you're just playing in a loud room and you really can't hear certain elements by themselves. But being able to hear ourselves, and me being able to hear Alex and our other guitar player, City, has been very game changing in how tight we play as a band and how we work as a band.
It's so insane, and it also helps you save your ears. Like
100%.
It's the best thing. As soon as I started practicing this, I haven't done this for a long, long time, but when we were playing as a band more often, and as soon as we got in-ears, I was like, what have we been doing? What, like, every other way we've ever played is just stupid compared to this. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Trust
I
me.
couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
Anything. So good.
I mean, like it's so funny, man, because like how KO is like going back to like the controlled chaos thing, which is it's funny how this works out like this. Like me and Alex are much more like, as I was saying, like we're planning on like MIDI mapping our whole entire set down to like lights and patch changes and everything. While Peter and Peo, while they're down with that, are much more on the punk rock side. They love just playing on floors and just blasting mad loud and playing fast. So it's always like this weird like back and forth between me and Alex and Peter and Peo of like, and again, I'm not saying that they're not down for it, but it's always like this back and forth of like punk or everything on a click and MIDI controlled. You know what I mean? So we're trying to find like that nice balance and make it so like everybody's happy. But I think once we start to use the in-ears, everyone's like, okay, I get this. This helps a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it does. And it's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for the audience because you do tighten up. You're like,
oh yeah.
Oh, I can't get away with that now. Like,
yeah,
it's and it also it'll make you respond to each other better because you can hear what each other are doing, and it might actually like inspire you to like, oh, I'm gonna throw this little thing in,
yeah.
Because I didn't realize I had space to do that until now.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, like there it does have its drawbacks. For one, again, since we're still fairly new to the whole like in-ear rig and rig building in general. There's obviously been some road bumps, and so we played the show in New Hampshire. What's today? Today's Saturday. We played it, I think, a week ago now. And it was our first show in 519 days. So first show back, right? Like that was the exact amount. Was 519 days. And it was our first show with our new rig and using the ears. And how we have it rigged is like, because like we're still trying to piece everything together, we only have one Sennheiser wireless, and basically me and Alex get our own feed. It's only a mono feed, so we can't like pan anything. So we just get our own like mono signal. We can set our own mix, and then Peo hardwires to our UI-24, our Soundcraft. And when the set started, he must have pulled out his cable, so he couldn't hear anything besides his drums and the cab tones. Which right off the bat is not good. But like at least like me and Alex could still hear, and like it was fine. And then we got to this part. So basically how I have it and how Alex has it, we have none of Peter's mic in our ears, but we have my mic in our ears so I can hear myself and Alex can hear for like the harmonies. And Peter, being Peter and being punk rock, he likes to go run around stage. There's just one part in our song, Runaway Jay, where it's this very chaotic pattern where it's like right, and it's like it's hard to follow to start with. Peter grabs my mic and just starts going and like just very loud, and because of how loud it is in mine and Alex's ears, we're just like done. We couldn't hear anything. I have never in my life felt more helpless on stage. We both looked at each other, we looked at Peo, we're all just like, I don't know what's happening. We're just gonna keep playing, and eventually we're gonna land on the downbeat, and then we did. and then we just kept going. But then we just went to Peter afterwards, and we're just like, listen, bro, you
can't do that. You can't do that.
Leave my mic alone. But it's not even really his fault, because then like after that, like one or two kids went up and grabbed my mic for like guest vocals, and at that point I was just like, you know what, I'm done. I just ripped the ears out. I couldn't do it. And when I took my ears out, that sucked too, because the whole entire night I had my ears in like while I was watching bands too. So when I ripped them out, it was just like an onslaught of sound and cymbals, and like it was like the most chaotic feeling ever, dude. But that being said, once we have it down to a system, and once we have it figured out so that doesn't happen, then we'll be set. It'll be great. These are
the things that you'll learn as you go. I mean, like you said, first show with in-ears, period, but first show back after 519 days too. So you're not even doing what you were used to doing before.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So it was just a total like if you didn't have something weird happen, that would have actually been weirder.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It's like it went totally smoothly. We introduced this new system and it was all fine.
Yeah, I would have been very, very surprised. I mean, it would have been a nice surprise, but no, like obviously, oh my God. And like this is kind of like an off-topic thing, but like right after the set, I've never thrown up from playing a set before. And we played that last note. I was just like, like something's not right. I debated to put my bass down onto the back, but I was just like, you know what? Punk rock. Like screw it, and I just knelt down. I hurled like a solid 5 or 6 times, and I was like,
geez.
"All right, I'm good." And that's never happened to me before. Never. Like
That's
I've
crazy.
had like semi close calls, sure, but I think just the fact that like it was 519 days of me sitting at my computer, recording, playing video games, doing whatever, and then just running around for a solid 40 minutes, just did something to my body. It was just like, nope, you need to do this right now, bro. So I knelt down, I threw up a little bit, and I was like, I'm good. Like, it's all right.
Do you think it was like anxiety, or was it literally just the physical, like my body's not used to doing
I think
this
it was just the physical aspect of it. And also like, shout out Jewel in New Hampshire, except it's kind of fuck those guys. Cause, our photographer Cody went to go get us waters from the bar. And the bartender was like, "Oh, do you guys have a tab open?" And this was like in the middle of our set. And he was just like, "No, like they're on stage. Like I just need waters, like cups of waters." And they wouldn't give it to him. So I ended up playing that whole set without water. And then maybe like the second song before we were done, I got a jug of water from my photographer. And I took like 4 or 5 huge swigs of it, right? And by the time like that last song was done, I think that's what happened, is like, because it was like all water. Like I just kind of like chugged that down. So I think it was a combination of like chugging a massive amount of water in a small amount of time, and then again just sitting down for a very long time. You know,
I'm still so confused. Like you have a tab open, it's water.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. Shout out Jewel, but not shout out Jewel. Like they're like, it was a weird, but like like the weird. I don't know, like the weirdest thing.
Not like
like
we're asking for beers.
We literally,
I literally want water.
I want your town's tap water. I'm not asking for Poland Spring. I am asking for your soda gun. That's it. Like,
right.
It's insane, man. Like that's one thing I'm not stoked about shows coming back, is having to deal with that stuff. 'Cause that's not the first time that's happened. You know what I mean? Like, but
is it just like I'm so confused. Is that just like the bartender being confused on who's asking for water? It's not like that. I'm not saying the band's like more important than anybody else, but it's like, it is kind of weird. It's like the band just wants water.
We literally just wanted water. It was very strange. And like, you know, it was extremely hot in that venue. I have no idea, man. Like
it's so weird.
Like, and like, you know, I'm not a confrontational person by any stretch of the word. And I was like so close to going on the mic and being like, can we
Give me
please
some
have
water?
water? Like, we do not have a tab. I have $2 in my pocket. You can have it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
But I've learned my lesson, and from now on, I am always buying a gallon of water or having some sort of water on stage before I play, because I don't want that to happen again, because that sucked.
No. You got to have the H2O. You got to.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, we're nearing the end of the main part of the episode, and this would be where I would segue into the classic questions I ask at the end of every episode.
Hit me with it.
But before I do that, I like to give the guests an opportunity to, you know, say whatever they want to say. If they want to shout out their mom, or, you know, whatever you want to do right now, the floor is yours to tell some stuff to a couple thousand people.
Oh, man. That's a lot of pressure. I'm going to use this time. I'm going to tell y'all a couple bands you should check out.
There you go.
That are my favorite locals from the area. Listen to Fever War. They are their album Piss Poor is always in our van's CD player. It's the only CD that we have in there. Incredible band. He was one of like the nicest dudes that I've ever met. All those dudes are incredible people, and they deserve your support. I highly recommend you check them out. And yeah, that's honestly my main band. If you don't go and listen to Fever War now, that's a bad thing. You have to go listen to them. I promise you.
I know what I'm doing after
I
this
promise
podcast
you.
is over.
So yeah, definitely check out them. Not to keep the the Fever thing going, but this band called Fever Dreams from Philadelphia. Peo and Peter live with three of those guys. Really, really great band. Very, very talented dudes. Check out Omerta. Check out Static Dress. I'm sure that people listening to this have heard of that band. Snake Charmer is a great band from Philadelphia. Better Machines. Absent Light. There's so many bands that I could like shout out now that I want people to check out, because like I feel like, as I was saying, like I like the beginning of the podcast, everything is very saturated now.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's very hard for newer bands to get the spotlight. And I just highly encourage anybody who's listening to go to a local show, just explore a little bit, take a break from Architects and bring the horizon and like the larger class bands, and really pay attention to what's going around in your city, what your friends are doing, because I feel like that's the most important part, and those are the bands that are going to be on those large stages in 4 to 5 years time. And they all just deserve your support. Yeah, that's it.
I think that's a really, really good thing to say. I mean, I would add a little bit to that by saying, like, think about it from, most people that listen to this. As odd as it sounds, I know there are a few actually non-musicians that listen to this because they've wrote in and told me, which is strange, but I love you. I'm glad you're here. But pretty much everyone else is a guitar player or a musician of some stripe. Think about it from your perspective. Like if you're creating something, the people who tend to like support you the hardest seem to not, this isn't true across the board, but they tend not to be those that are close to you. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of weird. It's a weird thing, right? Like, and I think we just need to remember to support those that we are close to. Because like, even with this podcast, my family loves that I do it, but it's not their thing, and I get it.
Yeah.
But it is a thing that I've talked about with my family before. It's like, I love that you guys are cool with me doing this, but sometimes like it'd be cool if you checked out some of my stuff.
Of course, man. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, like, dude, like, everyone starts somewhere. Everyone started from nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
yep. Everybody.
You need that support and that general attention to what you're doing. You know what I mean? It takes a long time to build, but I really think if everybody, just took like a day, like even just like an hour, like from their week to check out something new, it would just. It would help the music scene so much, like all around the board. Just 1 hour per week, just sit down, find a band you've never heard of, and just listen through their album. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's very important, dude.
There's a little thing that I've done occasionally for bands that like literally bands that I've never heard of, and if I listen to them and I dig them, I have an extra device that I just turn on and I just stream the album all day long.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not there.
No, yeah.
I'll just let it run.
Of course, yeah.
And it's, some people are like, oh, that's not going to do much. And I'm like, but it does something.
Yeah.
It does something. And on Apple Music now, they've said that that's 1 cent per stream. So
really,
hopefully that's accurate. It's a new thing.
That's a new thing?
It's a new thing.
Ooh.
It's a new thing. Yeah.
Because that's way better than Spotify. Sheesh.
Oh yeah. It's still not much, but it's a lot better, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Which we can talk about that stuff in the Patreon section. I've got some things I want to pick your brain about.
Respect, dude. Nice. No, dude. That's see, like that's how you grind, man. You're getting creative with it. Me and Alex love. I don't know if you ever listened to the Minimalist podcast.
I haven't.
They're these two guys that, long story short, they came from the corporate world and had like these high paying corporate salary jobs, and eventually got to the point where like, we don't like doing this, we don't like any of this, so they sold like all their stuff and they live like this super minimalistic lifestyle. And they like their podcast, they just talk about that. They talk about like general life stuff, but they do a similar thing where like, like their podcasts are like an hour long, but then they have a Patreon where like it's like an extended thing, and it's like more content, and it's just like more, and like it's a very smart thing to do. You know what I mean? You pay like $2 a month, I think, for them, and you get like all this extra content. And like, I just think it's a really smart way to grow yourself and keep yourself financially stable. It's awesome, dude.
Well, yeah, the supporters over there, like especially through the pandemic, it doesn't seem like much, but it's been huge. And I do basically the same thing. So
Yeah.
they can support over there, and basically what I do is this is a peek behind the curtain, I guess, for the main episode. I just, when I wrap up the final questions, we sign off, and then we just hit record again.
Awesome.
And then we just keep going.
Fire.
So yeah. So let me get into those final questions, and we'll do just that.
Sure.
So here we go. First one. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
Oh man, Boss OC5. Yes, sir.
Oh, the OC5.
Yes, sir. Oh my God. I've never had to not think about a question like that. Like that was like the most immediate, because like it's funny you bring that up. So again, like as I said, I work at this studio in Bayonne called Timber. And I was tracking this band called Freeze, which is also another band that people should check out. I forgot to mention them. We used that Boss pedal on like 75% of the guitar parts. Because like even just if you take that thing, blend in the smallest amount of low octave, the smallest amount of high octave, it just gives the guitar so much more oomph and anger to it. And like there's just so much that pedal can do. And I'm just in general like a sucker for octave pedals. Like one of my favorite bands is Closer in Moscow, and they're like huge on that stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure they use a Pog, but yeah, that Boss OC5, man. There's a lot you can do with that. It's crazy. It's a fun pedal.
I just got an original OC2 here a couple of weeks ago, and I've been having fun with that. It's I did some really dumb stuff with it, but it's octave pedals are a lot of fun. They're a good time. Okay, the final question, and this is the one that, breaks families apart and gets things pretty dicey.
Okay.
It's pretty serious.
Okay.
What's your favorite kind of pizza?
So I'll give you two answers.
Okay.
My standard, like if I'm just going to like a general pizza store, so like something that every shop has, I would definitely say red peppers, onions, and spinach. I love to serve pizza with those three ingredients. I'm a vegetarian for 2.5 years, so I like to just load up as many veggies as I can on something. So that's my like go-to combo. And my vague answer, or not my vague answer, my more kind of out there answer. I work at this Italian spot, or worked at this spot in Princeton, and they had this pizza called the Insalata. And what the Insalata is, it's a 12-inch personal size pie. It's a white pie, so there's no sauce on it. It's just like 3 different types of cheese on it, and they put salad on top of the pizza with balsamic dressing on top, right?
Okay.
So you get that, and basically what you do is you take the salad, you fold the pizza slices up, and you fold some salad inside of those slices, and the balsamic seeps through the salad and into the cheese. Bro, life-changing. And they don't make it anymore. They stopped making it. And I was just like all you need is salad greens and balsamic dressing. You got everything else. But to this day, that's probably my favorite pizza that I've ever had. Like
that sounds really good. Like I never would have thought about that, but that sounds bomb.
I highly recommend you go out, you get yourself a white pie, you get some salad, you get some balsamic vinaigrette, and you're good to go.
Oh man, I could see that, like kind of slightly sweet from the balsamic, mixed with the salt from the cheese and everything. Yeah, I can see that working out really well. That sounds great. Yeah, I like arugula on my pizzas, and this is just like another step up from that. So I'm down with that. Yeah. That sounds good. Well, dude, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Dude, it was great to talk, man. And like one thing too, I've never done a podcast. Actually, no, that's not true. I've done one podcast like a year or two ago, but like this is very new, new to me. So I thank you for having me on and giving me the chance to talk and ramble, because I know I'm not the most eloquent speaker, but I really enjoyed the conversation, dude.
I did too, and in fact, I'm excited to do a little more. So let's slide over and do that. For August, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that episode. August and I became buddies from this episode. That was a lot of fun. It's great when that happens. It's always fun to talk to people, but sometimes you just hit it off extra well. And that is exactly what happened on this episode. So if you would like to hear more of that, go over to Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/tonemob, where for $5 a month, you can help support this podcast in a real, meaningful way and get extra content delivered straight to your ears every week. Another option, if you are an Apple user, as you may have heard me talk about, you can now subscribe in Apple Podcasts. And it's real simple. There's a little subscribe button if you go to the Tone Mob page in Apple Podcasts, and you just hit that, put in your Face ID or your Touch ID or whatever ID you use for Apple, and it will connect to your Apple account, and boom, you will also get those extra episodes beamed to your device every week, just like Patreon. So either way is fine, whichever way you prefer, but either way you get extra content and you help support the show. So thank you all very much for doing that. And if you can, I would really appreciate it. But don't stretch yourself. Do not do that. I would much rather you take care of you so you can come back and listen next week. And with that in mind, if you would like to support the show in a different and free way, please tell people about it. Tell anyone you can about it. That is a huge thing. This show literally would not be what it is without people telling other people about it. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you again real soon. One last thing before we totally sign off here, I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.